I can make it there, I'll make it anywhere. It's up to you, New York, New York.
How we doing, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast here on Facebook Live and YouTube. I am your host, Richie. Happy Father's Day, y'all. Here with my guy, Mr. Idris Salam, a.k.a. Bosco from the Bronx.
Happy Father's Day, everybody. Yay, yay.
Lot to unpack, lot to talk about on today's show. We're going to hit on Antonio Brown's recent troubles. Stanley Cup Finals looking like it might be staying in the Sunshine State as the Florida Panthers take a commanding 3-2 lead, looking to close it out. Indiana Pacers, OKC, even up. Looks like it has the makings of a 7-game series. We're going to hit on our New York Yankees and their struggles to beat the Boston Red Sox. Just a whole lot to unpack. We're also going to get into some boxing chat about the past as well as the present. But we're going to start this up here with Antonio Brown, the connection with CTE and violence. Idris, I just can't get over the plight of this man. It seems like that Vontaze Burfict hit really just changed everything for the worse.
I do to a point. The reason I say that because before the Vontaze Burfict hit, he was kind of a knucklehead in college. He wasn't as wild as he was, once he got pro, but I don't know, man. I kind of say, yeah, that could be part of the problem. But then I also say, he had issues before that. He was very aggressive and everything. But, who knows? Who knows? It might be. I'm not going to say no. Who knows?
Yeah, between really just taking the most cheap of shots over the course of the last few years against former teammate, fellow Super Bowl winner on that Tampa team, Tom Brady, to just trolling pretty much any and all media outlets, going on podcasts, just acting like a real dick, for lack of a better word. I just don't get it, man. I just don't get it. And now with this most recent situation, you're talking attempted murder. This is big time jail time if he's convicted. This is no joke.
Yeah, I agree. I think it does have some. I think the CT does play a role, and I also think damn, his fans, man. When I was on X, I was on when they were on Twitter. I'm not on there anymore. I noticed how a lot of his fans would basically boost him up, like,
yes,
yeah. Even when he was doing the most outlandish shit in Tampa Bay, people even in New England, people were just like his fans. No matter what, how egregious an act he committed, his fans were like, yeah. And guys like me would go, yo, man, y'all need to cut that. Oh, you just hating and see. And I hate to turn the conversation sideways, but see, that's the issue in our community. When someone has the chains, the money, and all this, we boost them up to be destructive. And see, his people, and of course it comes down to the individual, of course, first, but we all are influenced, and his fan base influenced him a lot, do a lot of stuff that I would see him on his post say stuff and basically reach out, but I would see his fans basically telling him to do just the opposite. So I mean, I guess it is the CTE, and I also think it's outside influences. You know, I mean, I was never a fan of him. I'm gonna be honest with you. Even in Pittsburgh, I wasn't a fan of him. Great player, there's no question, he's a great player. But I was never really a fan of him. But I don't wish anything bad on the guy. But right now he's in trouble, man.
So you think to a level that a personality such as his that craves constant attention from the mere mortals, as a lot of people in his mindset would look at, I guess you could say in that regard, his fans have become enablers for his piss poor behavior,
Yeah.
terrible decision making, etc. You know, he basically wrote his way out of the NFL Hall of Fame picture by making a very selfish decision in MetLife Stadium against the Jets. I think it takes a special kind of asshole to troll another grown man that's going through a divorce, a grown man that has helped you get multiple gigs in the NFL when so many people running away from you. Of course, I'm talking about the incomparable Tom Brady. And I just think it says an awful lot about an ungratefulness, because people really stuck their necks out for Antonio Brown. And the lack of gratitude is quite frankly alarming.
Yeah. It's sad, man. A guy who, man, he had a great career going for him, man, in Pittsburgh, man. The next thing, whenever he's on the field actually playing, the guy is good. I mean, there's no question. The guy can ball. But the influences, man, it's sad, man. He's in trouble, dude. I mean,
yeah, he's in trouble, and truthfully, I don't see him walking his way out of this one.
No. Nah. Attempted murder, you don't just walk at that. I mean, eventually he might get cleared if he got the proof, but as for just walking out the door, nah. Not in Florida. Mm-mm.
However, in Florida, the great state, I do know of a situation like that. Former friend of mine who was fortunate because the person did not want to press charges out of mercy for that man's children.
Yeah.
Pretty wild. Only in Florida. Travis Hunter versus Chad Ochocinco.
Yeah.
From one great receiver, former bowler, to another. Travis Hunter, of course, off the rip, getting comparisons to guys like Deion Sanders because of his versatile skill set. Receiver / cornerback. Cornerback would be, without question, the bigger part of his skill set. They were recently on a podcast, and Chad Ochocinco basically told him, if you could stop me on one of 10 routes, you know, whatever they were wagering on. And Travis Hunter, you know, no lack of confidence, I'll say that. And I understand that when you play that position, both positions actually, a necessary cockiness is vital to getting your edge. But part of the thing with a lot of these young athletes or even younger fans that really bugs me out is like, did y'all see Chad Ochocinco in his prime? Because that dude was a legitimate problem.
He was. And I mean, I like the back and forth between, and I know it's nothing serious. I know it's, you know, it's just banter, you know, an OG going against a young guy. And I know some, because, you know, Ochocinco, he talks a lot of trash, but everyone knows when he talks, it's nothing personal.
No.
You know, it's never personal. And I get Travis Hunter seems the same way. Someone who trash talks, but it's not personal. And I like it between the two. Because Chad can teach him a lot. He could teach him a lot, being he's going to be playing receiver and defensive back. So I like that. And I think a lot of OGs should get with players like that, because Hunter's not been the type of, I mean, he has a little brashness, and he should, but he doesn't have that. And I don't want to. I know the Deion fans gonna say, you're hating. I'm not hating on. He don't have that Deion brashness, where it's like the narcissist type of brashness.
Not too many people on planet Earth have that.
Right. And I like him. Like I like Travis Hunter. I wanted him to be a Giant, but I like Travis Hunter. I like him.
I think we might have dodged the bullet because of one simple factor. I don't like to judge other people's relationships and the complexities of it because, believe me, they're all complex in their own ways.
Yeah.
But the whole no prenup thing off the rip, big NBA trade, Magic acquiring Desmond Bane from Grizzlies for Kentavious. Shit, I couldn't read it. It went across my feed. Orlando Magic making some moves. When you're coming into big money, I'm not trying to dilute the realness of the relationship, but there have been a lot of questions stirred. And, I always am one of those believers that when there's potential problems down the road at home, it can be potential problems on the field, potential problems in your the way you move, so to speak. And, when you bring in a personality like that, there's a lot to appease, and that's not always going to sit well with the 50-plus other members of your football team. I think the Giants played it safe as you possibly could, by getting, in most people's estimations, the best overall defensive player in this draft in Abdul Carter. So it's going to be interesting. And the other part is, if Travis Hunter wasn't a two-way threat, would people really have him above Will Johnson? I think it's worth asking.
Good question. I don't think they would. Will Johnson, I mean, you know what I mean? I don't think they put him above. I think he's a real good receiver, and I think he could be great. And same with being a DB. I think he can be great at both positions. I don't think he'll be great at both positions in the pros because in the pros is a big grind, real big grind. But Will Johnson is Will Johnson. He plays one side of the ball, and he plays that side. That side. That
Michigan defense, even after the scandal and Harbaugh's out, Wink Martindale has just done a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
With that defensive unit, even in an off season for their standards. They did have the big win over eventual champion Ohio State University in their house.
In the big house. I mean, at the
Michigan has had their number over the last few years. But circling it back to this, I do think that Jacksonville is a bit of a safer market for Travis Hunter. He's not like in LA, New York, where the distractions could just be overwhelming. Having said that, I would not be the least bit surprised if he's out of Jacksonville as soon as his rookie contract is up, because the Jacksonville Jaguars over the course of time have had big time issues keeping their stars. You look at Jalen Ramsey, Leonard Fournette. I could write a short list about players that had quality years in Jacksonville, but the team was not able to keep them.
Yeah.
But, it's going to bring a decent amount of excitement to Duval, and this is a team that kind of really sputtered, and kind of the heartbeat of that team was Trevor Lawrence, and with him kind of going through his struggles, Doug Peterson, just really disappointing on the coaching spec of it. So we're going to see how the new look Jaguars do this year in what I consider a pretty winnable division, because even though most people would circle the Houston Texans as the favorites, that is a very unpredictable division, and I'm still waiting to see what Indy's going to do. Daniel Jones getting a second lease on life in his quarterback journey, and AR-15 injured per usual. Daniel Jones has everything lining up for him to get another chance. So that division in general, very hard to forecast this early. And, of course, Nick Chubb joining that backfield should be interesting with Houston. JT, hopefully healthy. You get Tyler Warren, the new tight end for the Colts.
Yep. Look.
Jacksonville has Travis Hunter, as I already alluded to. That South division should be interesting.
Look, I said when Jones got traded, when he signed with Indy, I said he's going to be starting by week 7. He's going to be starting by week 7. That's his team. I put somebody bet me $100. I'm gonna have to go all the way down my post and find out.
Yeah, you have to collect it.
But I said he'll be starting by week 7, and he's going to keep that job because they're not even really too latch on to AR right now. Anthony Richardson, they're not too cool with him right now. Valid. And if you give, and we've seen Daniel Jones when he has a team. For the short period we saw it, when he has the players around him, he can do what he got to do, and he's with an offensive guy. So
I'll tell you what's pretty wacky,
for him, man. I love me Daniel Jones, man.
I'll tell you what's wacky.
Yeah,
he has a good year in a very winnable division. Let's say they make the playoffs, sneaking as a wild card, or just have a winning record.
Yeah,
he could be low key under the radar NFL comeback player of the year. So keep an eye out for that. It was proven time and time again that he was not the right choice or the right person to build around in New York.
Right.
But one reason why I leave that situation with respect for him, he never made excuses, and he always did his best. His best, unfortunately, in Giant Blue just wasn't good enough.
Yeah, he showed class. And like I said, with the tools around him, look how, like that what's that? When we went 10-7 a couple of years ago, we had backup players, basically. You know, we had a patchwork job of players except for Saquon.
Yeah, that was truthfully the best coaching that Brian Daboll ever did. And, you know, one of the biggest reasons why the Giants that season were able to be who they were was because they were fourth in the league in rushing between the accomplishments on the ground of number 8, Daniel Jones, number 26, Saquon Barkley. And the offensive line wasn't great, but they were adequate. They had more talent the next few years, but between the injury bug and with people figuring out how Daboll was masking the many limitations of Daniel Jones, it was only a matter of time. And it also doesn't help when you periodically lost Saquon Barkley, usually for 4 to 6 weeks out of every season. Yeah. Fortunately for him, fortunately for the team that employs your cousin, he was able to be healthy. But now he's on the Madden cover. So that's another thing to be leery of. The trend has been more positive. Yeah, that guys have been able to stay healthy. Most recently, not so much with Run CMC getting injured. But I might have to finally break and get myself the PS5 because
me too.
They are not making NCAA or Madden on the 4 console this coming season.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get me a 5. I mean, I've had my 4 since I've had it for like 5 years now.
Yeah, I don't play enough games to the level where I've wanted to upgrade, but when it comes to my sports games, that's where I could be like, okay, it's time now.
And that's the reason I'm upgrading.
And you know, I figure I could give Noah the 4.
Yeah, I'm gonna give my 4 to someone. I don't know who, because most of the people I know in my family have consoles, so I gotta figure it out. You know,
a good system. A good system. The second most selling one in Sony's history, behind actually the PS2.
Yeah,
PS2
I might give it to my neighbor because my neighbor has an Xbox One and he wants a PlayStation, so I might give it to him. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna move it over to the hardwood for a bit. What the hell are our New York Knicks doing? Kyrie Irving says, "Leave Cat alone." We're gonna start with this.
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving, never a guy that shies away from sharing his opinions, whether it was about pretty much any topic known to man. He has always been that guy that's not afraid to voice his opinion, even if it hurts him.
Yeah.
This particular thing is about the many memes, the many slow motion videos, questioning the sexuality of Karl Anthony Towns, center of the New York Knickerbockers. Listen, I'm far from a snowflake. I love to laugh just like anyone else, whether it's at my expense or what have you. But I will say this. In the year 2025, it's the last thing that anybody should be worried about when you're watching any kind of sport.
Yeah.
On what someone's sexual preference is. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that when I saw that slow motion pass with the little head weave that I wasn't laughing a little. I'm human. Of course I was.
Yeah.
But what Kyrie Irving is doing here, I give him a lot of props for, because a lot of people wouldn't have the audacity to even open this conversation up. I saw the woman on Cat's arm, so I think it's pretty safe to say that he is straight, and even if it is one of the better cover-ups, I
Yeah.
really don't give a shit.
I don't care.
You know what I care about? I
Yeah.
care about if he's gonna help the Knicks win another world title, one that we've been craving for over 5 decades as a fan base.
Right.
But I think the way that Kyrie described it was acceptable masculinity. In other words, saying like there were different layers to like, okay, here goes an example. Danny Trejo,
Yeah.
former inmate of San Quentin turned movie star.
That's my man, Danny Trejo.
I don't think there's too many dudes that are more masculine than him.
Danny Trejo would, yeah, you know what? The coming up, these are the guys that I saw as masculine. Ernest Borgnine was one of them. I know you may not know who Ernest Borgnine is because you're young, but you gotta ask your mama about her. Or Ernest Borgnine was somebody. I got his face in my head. Stacy Keach.
Okay.
Clint
Eastwood would be one of the guys that would check the boxes.
Charles Bronson.
Yeah, Charles Bronson with all those
guys like that.
Death Wish movies.
Yeah, and see with Cat, I don't think Cat's gay. I think he's one of those guys who's real particular by himself, like Tyrod Taylor, like people like the Giants players. I remember they was talking to fans the players what you think about Tyrod Taylor? And Saquon was like, damn, he always smells good. Yeah, he said that. And I laughed. And that's what people say, man. It's like, that man smells good. And it's like, I think Cat is one of those guys who's really, he take care. We used to call them metrosexuals, where they really take care. So that's how I see Cat, And like you said, I don't care.
I think it's a whole lot of nothing.
Yeah.
For nothing. Even with the fashion part of things. There are things that a lot of these young dudes wear.
Yeah.
That in the 90s, I never thought you'd see as part of fashion for a man.
Hell no.
But I applaud Kyrie Irving because one thing I will say about this guy is that he is very worldly when it comes to thinking outside the box. And one thing that I respect about him always is that he protects his fellow basketball players at all costs.
He got your back. He got your back. He's gonna put his neck on the line for you. He got your back. Yep.
I mean, to flat out say leave him alone.
Yeah.
That's resounding and speaks loud. And when I consider all the hot water that Kyrie got into, and how guys were not as quick to defend Kyrie or to try to get him out of that hot water, so to speak, including King James. Yeah. I respect Kyrie. Yeah. I really do. I have a lot of respect for him. I
think with Kyrie, I like Kyrie. I think with Kyrie, I think Kyrie just didn't have the right people to tell him how to bring his delivery in the past to where when he said stuff, but I think he means well. I like Kyrie. I think he means well. Just sometimes the way he says it, it might come off as being arrogant or whatever.
And the timing couldn't slap you in the face. And I think that's more coincidental. But, with June being Pride Month.
Yeah.
And, living here in Orlando, there's a lot of gay people I work with, gay people that I know. Point to be made is when you look at the mass tragedy that went down at Pulse nightclub, which was basically derived off of nothing short of hate, similar to the race thing that happened in Buffalo. It doesn't have to be like an agreement of lifestyle or an agreement of anything for you to have compassion for fellow man and woman. And I think that's something that Kyrie is trying to nail down here.
Yeah.
Because I some of my comedians have said it. Multiple comedians have said it. He said, there ain't nothing better than a gay fan. They got no kids and they're spending all their money with me.
Right.
or like the backlash with the royal family.
Yeah.
When there was a funny ass meme when they were like, you can tell when someone's designer is not a gay man.
Right.
Looking all kinds of unkept.
That's true. That's
But
true.
from Kyrie to the front office of the Knicks, Idris Salam, what the hell? What in the blue hell are the New York Knicks doing right now? Did they prematurely fire Tom Thibodeau before really having their ducks in a row, or did they just naturally think that one of these choices would have already fell? Because you got to think, man, when you're in the Final Four of the NBA, it means you're really close to winning a title.
Yeah.
Therefore, more people who are your competition in the league are not likely to appease you and be like, "Oh yeah, J Kidd, yeah, sure, no problem. He only took our team to the finals 2 years ago, but yeah, no problem." Other coaches, and then you have guys out of college that have already turned down the gig. I'll be honest with you. I think part of the reason why uh, it's going to be a lot harder than people realize for the Knicks to find the right man for the job
Mm-hmm.
is because when you get a team that close to the NBA Finals for the first time in a quarter century and you get fired, what does it tell the next guy coming in? That for one, just like players have fraternity, so do coaches.
Yeah, they fired Tibbs too early. I the way I felt about Tibbs, and I found like it was Dolan that pulled the string that said get rid of him. It was Dolan that was verified, which is another reason why I can see why coaches are not want to come here. Like, look, this guy's going to fire guys after a man who just took the Knicks to back Eastern Conference Finals.
Out of every sport, I think the fragility of an NBA coach dwarfs any other coaching gig in professional sports. Because there's no league that's more player driven out of the four majors than the NBA. I mean, you look at King James, look how many guys he got canned.
Yeah. I think
the aforementioned Cat. A lot of people feel that he was a player in this move.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. I'm like, just when you think Dolan finally got it together, this happens. Because for the past 3 or 4 years, it's been like, okay, Dolan's minding his business. Okay, the Knicks are back, and this happens. Yeah, we fired him too soon. I felt they should have gave Tibbs another year. But like, look, sit him down. Like, hey, man, we need to fix.
Have a little bit of a strategic intervention with it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know who we're gonna bring in. I forgot who was that said bring in Mark Jackson. Somebody real prominent said bring former player. I don't know if it was Ray Allen. I can't remember who it was. Said bring in Mark
Jackson's
Jackson.
Definitely got what it takes to coach in a media market like New York. The thing that bothers me, Idris, about most of this, is that when you get old school guys like a Tom Thibodeau, one thing that they are great at is taking the attention and the pressure off of their players. Now, Jalen Brunson has that NovaCat podcast. He's been questioned to a level, his credibility, so to speak, about if he too wanted Tom Thibodeau out. It hasn't fully been confirmed. I think to a level possibly. And the thing is, now the pressure's on the players. Because it's no secret that there was at least enough of a contingent in that locker room that wanted to go a different direction at head coach. And when this happens, now whoever the new guy is not the guy that's going to be under the mass pressure, especially when you consider that it's probably their 10th choice and not a top 3 choice because of many variables. So now I think the Knicks are in a position where you put the pressure on yourselves as players. Now it's put up or shut up time. And I will say this. If the Knicks do not hammer out an NBA title in the next 3 years, this era will be looked as yet another failure, similar to how Riley got us ever so close. I thought Van Gundy did a better job than Riley when you consider what he pulled. But, the injuries ultimately capped out that second Knicks NBA title. They made the finals twice in the 90s. I think Pat Riley cost us the one in 94. I think injuries cost us the one in 99.
Yeah.
And I think P.J. Brown cost us a potential date with destiny with the Bulls in 97 because that particular Knicks team had a little bit of it all. They had 6-man John Starks coming off the bench, backing up Allen Houston. That particular Knicks team, in my opinion, 1 through 12 had the most diversity in terms of talent, where it could have been interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the life of a Knicks fan, dude. Once again, just head scratching. I hope they get it right. I would not be opposed to bringing in Mark Jackson, but when I consider what's out there right now, it's few and far between about something that anyone associated with the organization would consider ideal at this point.
Yeah, we have to bring in a veteran coach, someone proven. I know we couldn't get. I mean, I'm just throwing this name out there, but I know he's already coaching. But I'm saying that type of caliber. We need to bring somebody in like a Rick Carlisle. Somebody who's been down there, won it. I mean, that
Mike
type
Brown's
of caliber
name
coach
has been floated around.
You said who?
Mike Brown's name's been floated around, but once again, not ideal.
No, he's a good defensive coach. I give him that, but yeah, we should have kept Tibbs, man.
You know what I'm really fearful of?
Huh?
This is something I'm genuinely fearful of.
Yeah.
That James Dolan does something just completely against the grain and tries to appease a fan base instead of doing what's right by the organization, which is what bad owners do.
Yeah.
I love Patrick Ewing.
Yeah.
But if they even so much as consider at putting Patrick Ewing on the bench, that is a huge mistake.
Yeah.
I love Patrick Ewing. I have so much admiration. He's my all-time favorite New York Knick and my second favorite basketball player to only Magic Johnson.
But he's not.
No. It was proven in Georgetown. I think the NIL stuff definitely hurt. Zappy and I spoke about that off air. By the way, speaking of Zappy, he's been trying to get on the show. I'm taking the blame for Zappy not being here lately because Zappy's been trying to get in that late work on the show, and I have just been too damn tired. But I just want to let our followers know Mike Zappy is still very much a part of the team, and he will be back in the near future. I spoke to Shed today as well. Mm-hmm. He's on vacation with his kids. Brett's been burning the candle at every end, but you're going to be seeing more of their faces in the near future. Last part of the segment, Idris, who the hell are we going to hire? Because I'm about to walk up there and see if they'll take me.
Just bring me. I'll be the assistant coach, man. I don't know. You know what? I don't know. This is another situation James Dolan screwed up.
It didn't have to be this way.
It didn't have to be that. We were ready. We just had a product. We need to make. My opinion, we just had to make one move to get this team over the top, and it wasn't coaching. Now I can see why they might have fired him because of the way he ran things. But look, the man was winning. It's just like they did with Michael Malone in Denver.
Yes,
like you're winning.
I would have even considered telling him it's short leash, but you're starting next season as the head coach. I would have even done that.
Right, that would have been great. But like they could have sat him down, man. They could have. Like I've been saying, I've been watching the Knicks since the second World Championship. That's when I really started watching them. Out of all the coaches, he's got to be one of the top 5 Knicks coaches behind Red Holzman, Riley, and Van Gundy.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I'd have him at 4 behind the 3 you mentioned.
Yeah.
I might flop Van Gundy and Riley, but truthfully, it just depends on what you value.
Yeah. You gotta me, and I know this is way out of left field, but I call him on the phone. Look, we messed up. We're gonna give you some more money, we're gonna bring you back. That's just me. I know it won't happen. That's just
not
me.
With James Dolan and his.
I know. That's what I said. That's what I said. That's just me, because I know Dolan's not going to do it. Because Dolan has a hard head.
Because right now, the way I look at it is, can you logically say that whoever we take is a better choice than Tom Thibodeau right now when you didn't get one of your top 3 or 4 choices? The answer is no.
No.
What's the future hold for Rick Brunson? I'm curious about that. Then you have other assistant coaches around the league, some in-house, some on other places, where I wonder if that might be the direction they go in. Not really Knicks related. It could have been, but it's not. Kevin Durant looks like he will be signing with a new team soon, traded, and then potentially signing an extension with a new team soon. Mm-hmm. Adam Silver has spoken out about the frustration of the free agency / trade market stuff. Mm-hmm. kind of dwarfing the interest of the NBA Finals since they happen simultaneous. Last Nick-related thing: is this a mistake not pursuing KD?
I mean, yes and no, because he made it clear where he wanted to play. He said Houston, the Heat, or San Antonio. He said he came out and said that. So it sounded to me like he doesn't want to come to New York. I think he doesn't want to come to New York.
I also think that might have been influenced by finding out that the Knicks were not going to be a player.
That too. So I say still pursue him, because if he wants to win the title, the Knicks are one of the teams he has a good chance of winning one.
My gut intuition tells me he's going to end up in Minnesota.
Minnesota?
And I think for the second time,
KD.
I'm talking about KD.
Minnesota?
I have a feeling. I think for the second time in 2 years, Dante DiVincenzo is going to be traded again.
Yeah, I believe that. Yeah.
He'll be part of that, and it wouldn't surprise me if Julius Randle's also included.
Are they going to have to give up Randle? They're going to have to give up Randle.
You're going to have KD and Ant-Man. The only way that I could foresee them keeping Randle is if they trade off Rudy Gobert and maybe do some picks. But, the idea...
They got a lot tied up in Gobert, though.
Yeah, that's the problem. And it's not very attractive
for
other people to take on. The Knicks, man. Keeping it in MSG, shouts out Chris Kreider. Phenomenal Rangers career.
Yeah.
Finishes his Rangers career with the most playoff goals, tied with Mark Messier.
Mm-hmm.
Pretty much top 5 in most offensive Ranger categories.
That's rare air right there.
Yeah, amongst some of the greats, the true greats. But just a sign of the times that Drury is really tearing it down.
Yeah.
I'm actually surprised that Zibanejad hasn't been traded yet, if I'm being completely honest.
They better not.
I don't know, man.
I like him. That's my dude. That's why.
So I love some of the guys that even the guys that are currently playing in Anaheim. These are former Rangers that he's joining.
Yeah.
That was part of him waiving the no trade clause, because Anaheim previously was one of the teams that he did not want to get traded to. But I wish him the best. Anaheim is a lot closer to a Stanley Cup championship than we are.
Yeah.
It's just frustrating. You hate seeing your favorites go, and especially when there's an uncertainty of what truly is the team direction. And that's something that I must admit I have not been able to figure out with the Rangers. They had that terrific season 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Back to back.
Full short in the ECF. And then this year just completely wipe out, missed the playoffs, unmotivated. Yeah. Igor Shesterkin got the big money. He at times this year, he didn't even look better than his backup, Jonathan Quick.
Igor disappointed me, man.
Big time. After he got paid, he really just fizzled.
I really thought he was going to, okay, I got my money. I'm already great. Let me go ahead and take it to the next level. And he actually took a step back. It's like, I call it the big contract curse. He just, dude, what happened? You act like you're not hungry.
Very disappointed, because right now, it's obvious that the Rangers need to get younger. And you know, whenever you have a new regime in, you're going to try to do it to that vision. But
don't be like
things happen fast in the NHL. Things turn around quickly. I mentioned the Washington Capitals off air.
Yep.
On how they got younger while they were still playing playoff hockey.
Yeah.
This is a wait and see thing.
Yeah.
That's all I could really say right now with the Rangers. It's a wait and see thing. As the Stanley Cup Finals go, Florida Panthers, my God, it looks like they are going to do it again. And this year, I think that the MVP will probably come from the Florida Panthers.
Oh, yeah.
It's not going to be the losing team again, but
no, they don't do that again. They don't do that again.
No, that ain't happening again. And
it's crazy, man. The Florida Panthers, man, a Florida team winning a
Well, the Cup's been in this Sunshine State quite a bit, because
I know. That's what I'm saying.
The Tampa Bay Lightning had a really good run as well.
The Lightning too, right? It's crazy, man.
And I remember, it was so hard for me to take it serious when these Florida teams first started. I remember a famous hockey card, John Van Beesbrook on the beach in his Florida Panthers uniform. He was one of the unprotected Rangers, because similar to the NFL expansion draft, how you have to leave certain guys that are unprotected. That's actually how Mark Brunell ended up with the Jaguars. because he was in the same quarterback room as Brett Favre and Kurt
Favre,
Warner.
yeah, right.
Yeah, Green Bay's always been blessed with that. But getting back to hockey, we had Mike Richter, so we made the decision to let the more tenured Van Beesbrook.
Yeah, Beesbrook, yeah.
And he had a nice little run in Florida as well.
Because remember, at one point, the Detroit Red Wings and the Colorado Rockies, they were like the top of the food chain. All of a sudden, here come Tampa Bay and here comes Florida. Like, okay, well, what the hell's going on?
And to give people a little history confusion, the Colorado Rockies are now currently the New Jersey Devils in hockey. You have the Colorado Rockies that play baseball.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's crazy. And
the Rangers and the Twins came from the Washington Senators.
Yeah. Yep.
The Washington Nationals came from the Montreal Expos. Tom Brady almost was an Expo. And that Bill Belichick card is not really Bill Belichick with the Expos. There's an explanation to that, if you've seen it on the internet. It's a series that Topps is doing kind of fantasy-like, where they're putting famous coaches of other sports in baseball scenarios.
I had this question for you and Zappy a couple of years ago. I'm going to ask you now. It's a trivia question. Name 2 sports franchises that had the same names in 2 different sports at one time. Okay.
Edmonton and Houston had the Oilers.
Okay.
How many more do I have to name?
2. Well, one more.
One more.
No. I mean by the same name.
Oh, you mean like the state and the name together?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. I might be here for a while. So not just the franchise name. You're talking about the state and the name.
Right. The whole name.
New York Giants.
Okay.
That's why they got the football. New York Football Giants. That's 1.
It's a bunch of them, but give me 2. You got 1 so far.
And they had to do this at the same time, like
it didn't have to be. No, it didn't have to be at the same time, but at one point, let's just say, the modern day era. We'll put it that way. That'd be easier. I mean, but the Giants are 1.
Giants are 1.
You can stay in that same sport.
Giants are 1. Giants are 1. Giants are 1.
I put it this way: the Giants had the baseball team and the football team. There's a team in the NFL with the same way. This baseball team.
Oh, the Chicago, Arizona Cardinals, St. Louis Cardinals.
St. Louis Cardinals.
And you don't know that the Cardinals are the oldest team in the NFL. People don't know that. They would just naturally assume it's either Green Bay or Chicago.
And you can take it further. Like I said, the Colorado Rockies used to have a hockey team. Now they're New
Jersey Devils.
The Jersey Devils. Yeah.
Hartford Whalers are now Carolina Hurricanes.
Carolina Hurricane, yep. A lot of people don't know that.
The Quebec Nordiques, as my father called them, the Nordics.
I did too.
They are currently the Colorado Avalanche.
Colorado Rockies.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man.
Little bit. But the whole Oilers thing, the Houston Oilers, Edmonton Oilers.
Yeah.
Winnipeg Jets, New York Jets.
New York Jets, yep.
Yeah, you got more than a few, that's for sure.
Yeah. That's some trivia, man.
All right. NBA Finals. Why the low ratings flyover states NBA Finals has been a treat. I'll tell you why. 2 players. SGA, Tyrese Halliburton.
Yep.
I think it's healthy for the league when you don't constantly have the big market in the big time setting, because it's healthy. It's healthy for the league. Yeah. But having said that, you won't see this again for probably a decade.
Yeah.
Idris, it's a best out of 3 at this point. Who's winning the NBA Finals?
I'm still going with OKC. I'll be honest with you. I don't think it's coming. I don't think it's coming back to OKC again. I think they're going to win the next 2.
Really? You think they're going to be able to go into Indy and shut it down there?
They did it yesterday. Well, 2 days.
I would really like to see that, because I'd like to see those Pacer fans in misery as the Thunder celebrate on their court.
Celtics fans too, because they're rooting for the. A lot of my Celtics friends are rooting for the Pacers because they beat the Knicks. Them too.
Oh yeah, I could understand that. And there's not really a formidable rivalry there.
No.
I mean, shit, Larry Bird one of the greatest Celtics of all time, possibly the second greatest Celtic behind Bill Russell. He even coached the Pacers.
Yeah.
And, he had Indiana roots as well, playing at Indiana State, of course. Yo,
Yeah.
going to age out John Olsen for a second. Check this out. John Olsen, when he was dating his future wife, Cassie,
Yeah.
going to school,
Yeah.
he saw Michigan State and Wisconsin head to head. Guess who Michigan State's point guard was?
Oh, Magic. I had to think.
Pretty dope, right?
Yeah.
Pretty dope.
Hey,
That's
sitting
pretty
like,
dope.
I'm like, Michigan State. Who's Magic Johnson?
and that's part of the reason why I do give Halliburton his credit, even though he's not a guy that I necessarily like, because similar to Magic, he could fill up. He could dictate the flow of a game and who's going to win a game without actually scoring a point. There's only a few guys in the history of the NBA off the top of my head. I had this conversation with Zap the other night.
Yeah.
Magic Johnson, Tyrese Halliburton, two guys off the top of the head that come to mind.
Yep.
But here's another one for you that a lot of people would not naturally think about.
Mm-hmm.
Ben Wallace and Dennis Rodman.
Yeah. And you know what? Mentioning those two, I want these Angel Reese fans to stop saying Angel Reese is Dennis Rodman. No, she's not.
Hell no.
Dennis Rodman got rebounds, true. But Dennis Rodman, he got the rebound. His rebounds amounted to assists. He got blocks, rebounds. He did all of it. He did all the dirty work.
And Dennis Rodman antagonized big men that were premier centers in the league during that time. That's also what made Ben Wallace so special.
Yes, and see, Reese is not doing that. Reese is just getting rebounds. Let me see how many assists you get. Rodman he'll get 25 rebounds. Out of those 25 rebounds, they probably get 20 points.
I mean, truthfully, Idris, can you name two other guys that were undersized? Not that Ben Wallace was a small guy, but he wasn't.
But he wasn't 7 foot,
Can you name two other guys that antagonized the great Shaquille O'Neal defensively at a better ratio than Dennis Rodman and Ben Wallace?
Nope. And Wallace was like what, 6'7"?
I mean, within the realm of size. Because if we were going bigger players, I would say Duncan and Olajuwon.
Yeah, but
maybe even Yao.
But undersized.
Maybe Dwight.
Yeah, undersized. I can't think of because Ben Wallace. I mean, Ben Wallace was a beast, man. He wasn't a scorer, but he did everything you needed him to do. Just like Rodman. That's why they call him the Worm. He would he would get you out of your game.
No, I've never seen anybody have the ability to play the mental game on defense better than Dennis Rodman.
Get you out of your game. So
I mean, he would just flat out piss people off.
That's why I said people comparing him. She is not neither one of those guys. Those guys put so much work. They did so much for the team other than rebounds. They were garbage men. They hustled. They got rebounds. They ran into the stands to get the ball. They threw it because they weren't like people forget. Rodman could score in college. He was a scorer, but he came to Detroit and they didn't want him to score. We need you to be dirty.
On a smaller, less talented level, but someone who should get honorable mention in what they did as once again, not the tallest, a guy like a Charles Oakley.
Yeah.
Charles Oakley did it in the East for many years where he took a lot of heat off of the great Patrick Ewing defensively, where Ewing can focus on offensive boards and getting to the stripe, getting to the rack, and also putting him in a position to be a more successful shot blocker, where he could come over on weak side and swat that shit into the 8th row.
Right.
So shouts out Charles Oakley. I hope in time that he could heal up his relationship with not just James Dolan, but also Patrick Ewing.
Yeah. I think with the Dolan thing is they want him to drop his lawsuit and everything's cool, but he's like, nah, I'm not going to do it.
And I don't blame him because it was very disrespectful.
Yeah.
The way that shit went down. Final segment, we're going to hit on the sweet science, but before we do, the Red Sox continue to have the Yankees number. 2 one-run losses in consecutive nights. Our record against the Red Sox now falls to 1-3.
1-3.
it's a little discouraging because the Red Sox are in fourth place in our division,
Right.
and I believe with the 2 consecutive wins against us, they are or 3 if 4, 3. Jesus,
3, yeah, 3.
actually no, we're 1-4 against them right now.
Are we? Oh.
Because they did take 2 out of 3 a week ago in the Bronx.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
After winning game 1, is this something to be worried about, or is this just a little bit of misfortune more than anything else?
I think it's misfortune. I mean, got to give the Red Sox their due because, no matter what's going on, it's a situation like how the Jets and the Dolphins used to be, and how the Giants and Commanders are. No matter what the season's like, that opponent, like if the Giants are doing good, the Commanders are going to still give the Giants a run for their money. If the Dolphins are doing good, the Jets are going to give the Dolphins a run for their money. Same with the Sox. No matter how good we're doing, the Sox are going to give us a hell. And if the Sox are doing great and the Yankees are, we're just, because we always have a winning record, but we're not where we should be, we give them a run. So, I mean, I'm not really taking much from it early right now because it's still before the All-Star break. And we've seen this before where the Sox dominated us the first half of the season, but the second half of the season, we came back. But it's just Yankee Sox baseball, man. This is how it is. So
the
I'm
one
not
thing
worried.
that does draw a little concern for me, now granted they were both 1-run losses.
Mm-hmm.
So you go back to last year when we had that horrific slump during a good portion of the summer.
Mm-hmm.
It all started with getting our teeth kicked in by the Red Sox. Ultimately, the Yankees recovered and were able to go as far as the World Series. But this is legitimately something that does concern me.
Mm-hmm.
But the reason why I'm not totally freaking out is because I believe if a missed call doesn't go down, we possibly win game 1. Game 2.
Game 2. Yep.
And game 1, what are you going to do? Crochet was on his game.
Yeah.
And, Judge bailed us out to put it into extras. But,
we just couldn't. Yeah, we just couldn't. Yeah, that one we couldn't. But 2 and 3, 2 I felt we should have won. I think, or not, I don't say should have won. I think 2 we got jobbed on that 10th inning when they said it was foul ball and then in reality it was on the line, hit the line, so it was
something
safe.
that has to be accounted for too.
Mm-hmm.
Managers. Alex Cora has really gotten the best of Aaron Boone over the years.
Boone loses it, man. Like he lost it the 10th inning the other night through his gum. That run, right? Dude, we need you right now. It's 10th inning.
Yeah.
This is it. Crunch time.
Yeah, there's a few times during the course of the year where you want to pull your hair out. Truthfully, this particular season, Aaron Boone has not frustrated me as much. Part of it is because he recognized that Devin Williams is struggling hardcore.
Yeah.
Put Weaver back. Williams has actually pitched at a very good level lately.
Yes.
Will that translate to what he could do in the 9th eventually if he gets it back? I don't think he gets it back from Weaver. Weaver would have to go into a horrendous slump or just continue to not be healthy. And
I need the Weaver to stay I need Weaver to be Weaver right now because last year he kind of disappointed me towards the end. Weaver
and getting Cruz back is going to be helpful as well. So I'm not really concerned about the Yankee pen on the whole. I think this is just one of those things. You get a big win today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And, it's a good road trip because it's 4 out of 6 because you did sweep Kansas City.
See, that's the thing about our series with the Sox, no matter what year, no matter what's going on, we get a win, things change. And I'm pretty sure with them the same way, we could beat them 2 straight. If they get that third win, it's like, hell yeah. It's like
I think this is more based off of just morale where you gotta go in there and do your thing.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I would not be the least bit surprised if the Yankees win in convincing fashion tonight.
9-1.
Yeah, I don't see us
9-1.
I don't see us getting swept, but I'm ready for the smoke if we do. Idris Salam.
Yeah.
Boxing, what's on your mind?
Andy Cruz, congratulations with his win the other night. Dominating fashion. He's the guy that basically was mentoring Keyshawn Davis. He calls Keyshawn his son. And he's called out Keyshawn now. Like, let's go. Because see, now he's lined up for a shot. Keyshawn Davis, I think it was class is what he done. I mean, look, dude, you was about to make your rise. This was your chance. This is your showcase. The show was about you, basically, even though your brother's on the card. the show was about you, and you come in 4.5 pounds overweight. You lose, you get stripped of your title. Now you got to move up. Then after your opponent, the guy you were supposed to fight, he goes in there and just destroys the opponent. I think he beat the other brother. I can't remember, but he went in there and just destroyed him. And then you want to have a fight with him in his camp. All of you guys jump him because this man went in there and did the work he was supposed to do. You didn't show up, so this is on you. So it's crazy, man. Canelo and Crawford coming up in a few months, which I'm ready to see. Big fight,
Do you think Crawford really has a shot to pull this off?
I think he has a shot. I think he does. Because see, Crawford fought at 147, okay, and Canelo fought at 168. The Crawford is naturally bigger than he's bigger than Canelo. And I think he has enough time to gain the weight and get used to it, because see, he doesn't have to get up to 168. I think if he gets to 160 and he's solid, I think he has a chance. I'm not going to say he's going to go in there and dominate. Called Canelo. I'm not a Canelo fan. I think he's ducking Benavidez, but Canelo's a good fighter. I mean, he's no scrub.
I'll tell you the truth. I'm going to be rooting for Crawford because of the fact that I'm growing tired of Canelo Alvarez not only getting fortuitous decisions, because I thought that he definitely lost at least one of the Triple G fights, if not two of them.
I think he lost two of them, yeah.
And it bothers me because you can say what you want about Money Mayweather. There's plenty to say that we don't like. But one thing that I'll give him props for is that he put Canelo in the main event in the main event spectrum when Canelo was a young lion still. And when is Canelo going to pass it forward and do that for a guy like David Benavidez?
He's not, because see, Canelo, he's supposed to fight. He's not going to fight him. He keeps saying how Benavidez hasn't earned the shot. Benavidez has earned more than a shot. He's like, look, dude, you fighting guys who don't even deserve shots, and you talking about they deserve shots.
And you know what pisses me off? It reminds me a little bit of Andre Ward. Andre Ward, I feel that although he's an accomplished fighter, the reason why he won't be top 5, in my opinion, of the era he was in is because I feel that he handpicked a lot of his matches to keep that undefeated streak. Same could be said about Joe Calzaghe.
I agree on both accounts, and I seen Calzaghe fight. Yeah, I think the biggest fight Calzaghe had to me was against Hopkins. Close fight. He beat. It was close. Hopkins did drop him. I agree, man. I agree 100%. I mean, that those two are perfect examples. I agree.
Now, a little history tidbits here. Zaire, the phenomenal match, generational match of a lifetime. Muhammad Ali, George Foreman, who was undefeated at the time, coming off the big W over the great Joe Frazier. Foreman possibly wins the fight were it not for Ali's strategy getting him tired with the rope-a-dope. My question to you, an article that I read recently, and it really opened my eyes to thinking about it in a different spec. If George Foreman wins that fight, not only does he probably not leave boxing to really find himself for the better part of 2 decades, but he probably goes down as the greatest heavyweight of all time.
I can't dispute that. That's a fact, because you figure up until that point, he was undefeated. He was like Mike Tyson in his prime.
Yeah.
He was just destroying people. He beats Ali. The history's rewritten. Who's going to beat him? Because he was still knocking people out after. And he even said that fight in Zaire changed him. He took all that time off. He wins in Zaire. He goes down as the greatest heavyweight, or maybe the greatest fighter of all time.
Pretty wild.
He doesn't come back. He doesn't come back at age 40. There's no need to.
Something I read last night. It's crazy. So something I read last night that was really bothersome.
Yeah.
Sugar Ray Robinson, one of the greatest pound for pound fighters in the history of the sport,
if not the greatest,
had a premonition on the eve of one of his fights that he was going to kill his opponent.
Yeah.
He actually did not want to go through with the fight because he was afraid.
Yep.
Tragically, he killed his opponent. Never knew that until yesterday.
Yeah, I knew about that. Yeah, he really did, and it messed him up, man. He took his whole purse and gave it to the family.
Yeah, I imagine that
Yeah,
had to
he
be
took his whole
devastating.
because he felt really bad. He gave his whole purse to the family. He's like, yeah, he didn't want to fight. He didn't want to fight the guy, and he wound up killing him, man. Yeah.
Yeah, very unfortunate. Very unfortunate that happened. Um, we saw something like that, I believe, with Ray Mancini too. That happened.
Yeah, Dooku Kim. Yeah, I saw that fight on TV. I watched it. Yeah,
Very unfortunate.
yeah.
There was
Kim
a
fought
special
a
I
hell of
saw
a
on
fight too,
Amazon
man. Huh?
where Mancini met with the man's family.
Yeah, and dude, Kim fought dude. If you could go watch the fight, that Korean fought a hell of a fight, man. I mean, if you see a guy who went out, who gave it all, Dooku Kim, he fought. God, that guy fought his ass off, man.
Yeah, very unfortunate, and that's something that I think sometimes people lose sight of. Little boxing tidbit, something that's shocking. Oliver McCall, what was his claim to fame? I guess you could say was planting one on Lennox Lewis, which
Yeah.
led people to believe that Lewis might have been soft. I think it was just a great punch.
Yeah, it's a good punch.
But he lost the rematch very convincingly. But the interesting thing with McCall, he never was knocked out in his pro career. I think he had roughly 80 fights.
And the guy who knocked down Mike Tyson in training, Oliver
Yeah.
McCall, man. And he's fighting again. He's fighting now, right?
I was not aware. No.
Yeah. I think he's 3-0 in his comeback.
My God, how old is that man?
He came back. Yeah, 60 years old.
And he has a kid. He has a kid fighting too, from my
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Hey, Oliver McCall, man.
And that opens it up for guys that held on a little too long. Two guys that come to mind, possibly even three. I think Larry Holmes held on too long.
Yeah.
Stubbornly, and got his ass mashed by Mike Tyson.
Still ain't got
Famously,
over it.
Muhammad Ali, who was Tyson's icon, Tyson's boxing hero, met him in the center of the ring before the fight. He went to each corner and basically told Tyson to take him out because a lot of people believe that Muhammad Ali's Parkinson's was advanced because of the beating he took to Larry Holmes, when once again maybe he hung on too long.
Yeah.
Sugar Ray Leonard, Hector Camacho, fight that shouldn't have happened.
Yeah.
Ray Leonard held on too long as well.
He admitted it. I seen a video a few days ago where he said himself. He said, I knew I was over the hill. He said, and Camacho said the same thing. Camacho said, I didn't want to fight Ray.
And another interesting one is Vinny Pazienza fighting a very old Roberto Duran. I think Duran was 41 or 42 at the time.
Yeah.
Roberto Duran, one of the most misunderstood boxers in the history of the sport. He, of course, caught a lot of flack for the no mas situation. But, yeah, Canelo, stop the bullshit, man. Get in the ring with Benavidez if you are able to beat Crawford, which I'll be honest, I'm not 100% sure he's going to beat Crawford. Yeah,
he won't. He's not going to fight. He's not going to fight him. And if he loses to Crawford, that's it.
Oh, yeah.
That's it. Because you see, Crawford said he's only fighting to be the greatest undisputed champion. He beats Canelo, that's it. He's done. He said, I'm finished.
Yeah, he doesn't have anything left. And then Canelo might not have any choice but to fight Benavidez. And then Canelo suddenly becomes the long shot underdog.
Yeah.
But
I'm with you on that one.
Tank Davis, I'd like to see him have a rematch with Roach as well.
Yeah, they got one scheduled. So, in that division, like from lightweight to welterweight, there's so many undefeated champions because it's just too many belts anyway. You got WBC, WA, IBF. You got 1,000 belts, man. They just need that's why there will never be another era than the era of the four kings of Hearns, Hager, Sugar Ray, and Durant. Because
undeniably the best era for the middleweights, and it kind of intertwined with one of the best eras for the heavyweights as well, because the 70s, you had so many greats. You had Ken Norton, George Foreman, Larry Holmes, Muhammad Ali,
Joe Frazier,
Larry,
you had a ton
Shavers. Yeah, you had a ton of guys, and
that would knock
in the 80s, ultimately, Mike Tyson dominated the 80s, and then in the 90s, the Buster Douglas shocker in Tokyo opened up a lot for other fighters, mainly Evander Holyfield. Evander Holyfield lost so much money because of that knockout in what was supposed to be a tune-up fight for Tyson. Ultimately, they fought twice. But I think that we'll never truly know what would have happened if they would have fought each other in 1991 as opposed to 1996.
That'd have been a hell of a fight, man. That'd have been a hell of a fight.
Definitely one of the big what ifs in the fight game. Before we get out of here, I put this on my Facebook wall today. Definitely a cool picture that I ran into. Just bear with me. I'm going to pull this up here.
Meanwhile, while you do that, another boxing note, Larry Holmes needs to chill out. He has so much bitterness towards
too many people.
I'm like, dude, he can't stand Tyson. I'm like, dude, look, Tyson knocked you out.
Yeah, Larry Holmes is another guy, and this is something that I think people need to remember. I'm not going to try to discredit his greatness.
Right, he was great.
But you can't have it both ways. You beat Ali when he had one foot into retirement. But
actually,
then
he was retired. He came back out. Yeah, he was
But then you want to bitch, moan, and complain about getting knocked down from Mike Tyson. Good for the goose, good for the gander. You're great, Larry Holmes. But this is the kind of stuff, and taking shots at George Foreman, calling him a phony because he lost to Briggs and Morrison. Like, do better, Larry Holmes.
But the thing about Larry Holmes coming back, like when Ali came back, he had been retired, I don't know how many years.
Yeah.
He had to sweat down. If you look at that fight, and I watched that fight, he has dehydrated himself so much, he didn't even sweat when he was in the ring. So Ali was shot. However, when Holmes fought Tyson, Holmes had like 7 or 8 more fights after that.
Yeah.
So he needs to be quiet. You lost. Just be like, hey, he beat me, great heavyweight. He's one of the greatest. Leave it at that. He's the only one out of all those, like, Ali respected Tyson, Tyson respected Ali. French, all of them respected Tyson, Tyson respected him back. He's the only one with that mouth. Even Foreman came out like a few years ago. He said, I'm glad I didn't fight Tyson. He said, Tyson would have whooped my ass. He said it.
Well, at that age, it was something that I was fearful of because it was hard not to love George Foreman. I just viewed him as like he could have been anybody's grandfather.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was. Yeah.
And I didn't want. But I'll be honest with you. I don't think Tyson wanted to fight him either for the same reasons.
I think the same thing.
Because one thing about Tyson, he had mercy, and a lot of people don't give him credit for that.
Yeah. Yeah. Foreman was a big granddad. I love Foreman, George. Rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace. God, he lived a full life, but I still say gone too soon. He was truly an icon.
Yeah.
Today is Father's Day. Just want to say that's my old man right there, Richie Hicks Sr. Bro, it's crazy to me because the similarities of me and Noah in this picture are pretty remarkable.
Yeah, y'all do favor, dude.
I'm not sure what my dad's look here was. I know that for a hot minute, he had the big John Lennon specs. He even rocked the Converse back in the day. That mustache, though, not really sure what Pops was going for here.
That's that porn star mustache, man.
Yeah, man.
That's that porn star mustache.
But I just want to say Father's Day never really could possibly feel the same anymore. It goes without saying.
Y'all do look like, you and Noah do look alike, man.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
That's crazy.
Nah, no doubt. But I just want to say, Father's Day. Father's Day is not easy. Not gonna front.
Nah,
but this year particularly, a lot of challenges in my personal life this year. Things that I don't necessarily care to talk about here on the show. Like I keep that amongst my circle. But all I'm gonna say is,
in an X-rated movie before. I'm joking. I'm sorry. I've seen him in a movie somewhere. Nah, I'm clowning, man.
You never know.
Nah, I'm joking. Go ahead, man.
Nah, it's all good. But just want to say, Dad, you are missed, and
shouts out.
It doesn't change. I miss you just the same as the first day you left, as this many years later. It's coming up on. Wow, it's going to be 8 years come August. But Dad, wherever you are, which I'm sure is somewhere pretty damn good. Happy Father's Day.
Don't haunt me because I called you a porn star. I was only joking. Don't haunt me.
Well, that's a whole nother conversation that we'll have off it. But he was lovingly known in the 100 precinct as Dr. Detroit.
That's why I got that mustache.
God help us.
I know.
And we were talking about fashion. There's some things that just don't need to come back.
Right. Oh man.
For
That's good.
Idris, I am Richie. If you haven't already, please make it a point to like and subscribe to the channel, the Richie Hicks Jr. Sports Podcast on YouTube.
Oh,
Also,
man.
check out the Vicious Mix, the V Mix on live365.com, where this guy, Mr. Idris Salam, does his thing. Pretty much every genre of music.
Yep.
You got our sound bites in there, I believe, right?
Yep. All
Yeah,
through
so
the day.
definitely check that out. Casual Convo Show, Wednesdays. Every Wednesday, 8 to 10 p.m. Check out the Basement Show as well as the Sports Corner with our good friend, Johnny Nast. Definitely check him out. That is one motivated man, always looking to just continue to build himself in his podcast journey as well. Definitely a friend of ours. And I spoke to him, and we're going to be looking to do a show with him in the near future. All you dads out there, enjoy your families today.
Yep.
And to the dads that decided that just not being a dad and not being an accountable father, I just got 2 words for you. Or actually one. You ain't shit.
I second.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man. And shouts out to the ladies and shouts out to the ladies that always played both roles.
Yeah, I wish I had my father, but hey, just like yours. So, dang, you know what? Our fathers died 20 years apart.
Yeah, pretty wild.
Dang, I just thought about that. 20 years apart. Hey.
Man, pretty wild, bro. And one thing about time, it moves. Like it doesn't seem that long ago, but undeniably time moves. And you never know when the last one is. That's why you got to make them count. Because if somebody would have told me that 2017 was going to be the last Father's Day I ever had, I probably wouldn't really buy into that. So make the best of it. If you have a good relationship with your father, continue to maximize that. If you don't, but it's still worth it, try to meet halfway. Just try to do a little better. I think that's the best advice I could give anybody. Yeah. And if you still got them, cherish them, man, because tomorrow is not promised.
And you'll miss them.
But I'll tell you, I don't think it's a coincidence that it's Yankees Red Sox today. My dad used to live for this shit.
Perfect day for it.
Yeah, he absolutely hated the Boston Red Sox.
Me and him would have got along because I can't stand the Red Sox.
Yeah, my father likened his Shea Stadium detail during the '86 World Series to a rock in a hard place. He said, "I have no choice. I got to root for the Mets."
Got to root for the Mets.
But it didn't feel good. I know.
Right, I know. Yeah, because he had to do his job. He had to do his job.
Announcements to come for our next show. Zappy and I were talking about it. We're going to be looking into possibly doing an MLB trade deadline show, cooking up some stuff that we could see. And one of the interesting possibilities is Chris Sale to the New York Yankees because the Braves are falling out of it rapidly. So I will be more than interested to see if the Yankees pull the trigger on that, as Sale, after many injury seasons, starting to look like himself, especially coming off last year's National League Cy Young Award season. So we'll see how that plays out. Luis Gil will be back soon. Giancarlo Stanton, I believe, will be joining the Yankees back at home. So be good to see that guy back.
Yes.
But please, Aaron Boone, do not let this mess up the trajectory of Ben Rice. Do not do that.
Right. Exactly. We got a diamond in the rough. Let's keep it.
All right. Have a great day, everybody. Enjoy your Father's Day. We out.